Howdy, folks. Would you Wallace from DeedCoffee.com here. It's a little bit wet. Back again with another Wayhomer review. Here's how it works for the uninitiated. I have just left the cinema. That's it over there. And I have seen a film. I'm going to tell you about that film on my way home. Because in theory, it just makes more sense that way and takes up less time for everyone involved. And tonight, we're here to talk about Macbeth. The recent National Theater live broadcast of Macbeth, starring Rory Kinnear. Well, synopsis first. So, I mean, I hate to spoil the play for anybody, but basically, you have Scotland, and the king is putting down an armed revolt assisted by foreign powers, and Macbeth, who is a star player in putting down said revolt, before he gets promoted, he is told he's going to be promoted in multiple ways by a trio of witches. And as some of what they say becomes true, he starts to wonder about the rest of what they've said and what they haven't said. And as he and his wife try to scrabble for power through pretty much any means necessary, things just get more insane and more... Well, just the body count rises. Let's put it that way. So, I mean, that's basically the synopsis. And it's a tragedy, so you're going to have a lot of bodies before it's all over. So, okay. First of all, Rory Kinnear. Most audiences probably know him as... the character has a name, I don't remember, but like M's right-hand man in the Daniel Craig Bond movies. That's Rory Kinnear. You might also know him as Frankenstein's monster from Penny Dreadful, which he's been amazing in. He's an amazing actor. He's a great actor. Anne-Marie Duff, who I'm not familiar with, is playing Lady Macbeth, and a whole bunch of other people in the cast, some of which are quite good. So you have, an excellent actor in the main role. You have the play itself, which is great. And you have what I think is the problem when you are a director that is approaching, a director or an actor or anybody really, who is approaching Shakespeare at this point, because I think the big question is, what can we do that hasn't been done? And to a certain extent, I think that is a question that's warranted and it's worth thinking about. Because if you're just doing what somebody else has done, what's the point? Now, that being said, do I love to watch a traditional, like as an example, a traditional staging of the Sondheim musical Sweeney Todd? Absolutely, I do. Did I like the crazed avant-garde, there's only like 7 people in the cast and they're also the orchestra version of it? Absolutely. So I see the benefit in traditionalism, as well as trying to think outside of the box and do something different. And I will say this, if you are trying something different and I don't think it works, you get points for just trying something different, because it is very easy to let me put it this way. I saw a touring, this is all theater stuff because we're talking theater here, but I saw a touring production of Jesus Christ Superstar in which Corey Glover, who is the lead singer for Living Colour, played Judas. And every other time I've ever seen Jesus Christ Superstar, Judas tries to sing like the Judas on the original album, because that's the Judas everyone knows. And so they're basically just doing that Judas. Whereas, Corey Glover, you hired Corey Glover, and he sang his ass off and made it completely his own. And I loved it. So, in that case, it worked. But if you try to do something to make something your own, and you don't quite make it, or the conceit falls apart, then I'm like, good for you for at least trying to do something different. So the first thing about this production is that it appears to take place in not in 11th century Scotland, but in some vague, not even necessarily futuristic, but like a post-apocalypse that could have happened today. Just because of the costumes, the condition of the set, everything about it is like Macbeth beyond Thunderdome, which is fine. It's a little wobbly in the fact that, if you think about it too much, which I didn't for some strange reason, maybe because I was concentrating on the language, which you kind of have to do because it's Shakespeare and he uses all them words. It kind of falls apart when you go, okay, what is left of Scotland to actually want? What are you going to get for all your trouble that you are going through? Macbeths, you and the missus. What are you doing? But you know what? Fine. So the conceit I'm kind of fine with. It doesn't really break down at any point, because it's not like the Ethan Hawke Hamlet, where they are so the conceit is sort of hardened and it can fall apart. This is a fantastical staging, so there's lots of room to wiggle around and do the truffle shuffle. So I'm fine with that. There are times where in the production it tries too hard, and one of them is a big disappointment for me, because I love the Three Witches. Granted, it is very hard. If you have not seen the Patrick Stewart Macbeth from, I want to say it was 2008, but I'm not certain about that. It's the best trio of witches I've ever seen. It's amazing. So I love that aspect of the play. And in this, they just tried too hard, in that the witches were annoying. They were distracting. They were. One was trying to be the creepy kid, capital C, capital K. One was trying to be the silent type with doll parts on her costume. I don't know how many capital letters that is. And one was trying to be somebody who practices yoga a lot. I don't know. She did a lot of weird poses. So that part didn't really work for me. And they're kind of they're used as a framing thing for the story, so it's they're kind of just limp. And there are things in the show that work well, and it's mostly down to what you would think, which are great performances speaking great lines. I mean, the two characters I found, and I don't know the actor's name, I'm sorry, but the two actors whose characters and their performance I thought was the most consistently excellent was Banquo and Macduff. Who Banquo is the likable, friend who that doesn't seem to buy him much, and Macduff is the guy who is not born of woman. Again, sorry, spoilers, but they were great. And Kinnear and Duff, not Macduff, the woman who was playing Lady Macbeth. I mean, there are such great moments that they have. I mean, especially when, okay, so you have a moment where Macbeth sees Banquo at a dinner that they're having, and he flips out, okay? Kinnear flips out. He is reacting like you would if the friend that you had killed showed up and was staring at you like, dude. I mean, he is reacting like you would. And she's reacting like someone would be reacting to how he is reacting, if you see what I mean. So there's sequences like that which are riveting. And yet there are things which kind of, I mean, I found myself caught up in that, and then something would take me right out of it. And the one that springs to mind, because it was towards the end, is you had some terrible fight choreography. I mean, okay, okay, just to be clear, I know that you're not going to get fight choreography like in the movies, like on television, where they have everything lined up. I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's kind of amazing. If you ever get to watch a behind the scenes thing about them putting together a fight, you move the camera like 2 degrees that way and you can tell just how fake it is. But if you are lined up exactly where you're supposed to be, holy God, it looks amazing. So I'm not looking for that. However, I'm looking for something that's a bit more than, okay, many of you people are going to understand what I'm saying here. And the rest of you who don't, I mean, browse YouTube for a bit, I guess. I'm assuming that people put this stuff out there. But when you got a camera for the first time, like a moving picture camera, a video camera, and you wanted to make a movie, because that's what you do with a camera, right? So you would get some friends together and you would create God knows what kind of movies. But if you are a guy, right, if you were, if you had a, basically a penis installed, then you probably wanted to have fight sequences in said movie, because we're guys and that's what we do. We're kind of hardwired to be that way. Some of us are going through therapy to try to deal with that, but it's still, it's in there. Okay, the fight sequences at the end of this Macbeth were kind of like the fight sequences that you choreographed for that. Meaning, oh, well, you dodge over here and I'm gonna look like I kicked you in the ass and you react or whatever. I mean, it looked awful. And the believability of Macbeth as this soldier who conquered the day at the beginning of the play kind of falls apart. It's like, yeah, okay, in this, because it's the post-apocalyptic thing, they've got like machetes with holes drilled in them. I don't know, it looks cool, what can I say? But I'm like, at least look like you've been wielding that thing for more than the few weeks that you had of rehearsal before this thing started. I mean, something, do something. Again, I'm not expecting somebody to, you know, it's a live theater performance. I'm not expecting somebody to go, okay, pause everyone, I'm Roy Kinnear's stunt double and I'm going to step in and, you know, do this fight. I'm not Ray Park is not going to show up and with a you know, a balding pate in place and do the fight for Rory Kinnear. That's not what I'm expecting. But I'm expecting to at least not be taken out of the production because it is so painfully obvious that somebody needed to hire a fight director. So I think the unevenness, I think, is the main thing. Okay, that it's just when I would be going, okay, here's a rhythm, here's a scene where it's incredibly moving, like Macbeth finding out that his family's been slaughtered. I mean, that's amazing. His performance is incredible. And then you switch over and something else happens, and you're just all of that pathos that's been built up inside of you, it just kind of goes wah, 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 sad trombone. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating, especially because, I mean, again, not as familiar with the rest of the cast as I am with Roy Kinnear, but I know how good he is, and so it's frustrating overall that it is not as consistently strong as it could have been. And that's the main thing. That's the main thing, is to me that there's just something lacking in the direction, that some scenes the actors just, you know, okay, basically it's like Christopher Lee in Star Wars, right? Or, you know, Ian McKellen as Magneto. They can make lines that are horrible sound amazing because they're that good. But this is Shakespeare, and when you've got a really great actor, you know, even when something about direction's a little wonky, gold is going to happen when the you know, the flint strikes and the sparks, and it's going to be good. So that's what happens despite everything else that's going on stage. So there you go. It's long-winded, but that's it. So cups. I am honestly teetering between 2.5 and 3 cups on this thing because of the frustration of it. But when it shines, it just really shines. And that's saying something when a set is that gray. I mean, when I wear black all the time. So if I'm looking at something and going, holy crap, that's dark, then you know it's pretty dark. So at the moment, I am leaning towards 3 cups just because it just sort of puts it over the edge that the moments that were good were so good that I don't want to beat it up. And I certainly don't feel like I wasted my time because I just got to see a British production of Macbeth starring Rory Kinnear, you know, warts and all. Should you see it? I don't know if these things ever are coming to home video. I don't think any of them have. But if, and they do run encores of these things, so it's not like it won't ever come back around again. If it does, if you are a fan of the play and you just, or a fan of Shakespeare in general, and the conceit that I described doesn't put you off, or you find it intriguing, absolutely. But this is the sort of thing where if it was getting some kind of home video or streaming solution that was not only not having to drive as far as I did, but also not having to spend as much money as I did for the ticket, then absolutely. So there you go. Macbeth. Whichever version of it is, I think there's probably 3 being committed to film every year. But there you go. So that's it. That's another Wayhomer, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I was able to frame myself properly after all the fiascos with suction cups. I now have something up there with 3 suction cups. So, and amazingly, the camera has stayed where it is. I'm assuming it hasn't like fallen forward and all you're seeing is the floorboard. I can't really look over there right now because I'm driving, but I do see a blinking red light in the corner of my eye, so hopefully that's a good sign and it doesn't mean like the missiles have launched or anything. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Join us on needcoffee.com for more madness, and we'll see you next time on the Wayhomer Reviews.